Does the kotatsu ruin people? It's a freezing winter night. You're supposed to be studying or finishing a report, but once you slide your legs into the kotatsu, you just can't get back out. Hours slip by as you scroll on your phone, snack mindlessly, and keep telling yourself you'll get up after just one more video. Is the kotatsu a lazy trap that quietly ruins your life, or is it a smart, energy-efficient way to stay warm and relax? In this video, we run a 10-round, 20-turn debate where both sides argue on equal footing. Do you think the kotatsu ruins people, or do people ruin themselves? Tell us in the comments. Now, let's get started.
I believe the kotatsu clearly functions as a device that ruins people. The reason is simple. A kotatsu ties people to one spot for long periods and drastically reduces their level of activity. Time that should be spent working at a desk, tidying up, or exercising is stolen by the comfort of the kotatsu. By removing cold as a break on behavior, while at the same time eliminating the motivation to stand up, it is designed around the weakness of human willpower. In that sense, it must be pointed out as a human-ruining design.
I think it is unfair to slap the label ruins people on the kotatsu itself. A kotatsu is merely a heating device. It may support users' choices, but it does not decide them. Blaming the kotatsu when tired people just happen to linger there is mixing up cause and effect. Rather, by warming only a limited space, it improves energy efficiency and provides comfort at low cost, which is actually quite rational. What ruins people is how they use their environment and their lifestyle habits, not the kotatsu.
I understand the claim that tools are neutral, but behavioral science shows that environmental design has a decisive impact on decision-making. A kotatsu is a device that makes it extremely psychologically difficult to get out once you get in. If you keep your smartphone and snacks nearby, you can keep lazing around indefinitely. Since human willpower is finite, a kotatsu that relentlessly exploits this weakness is not just a neutral tool, but a clearly laziness-reinforcing environmental factor that deserves criticism.
If you push that logic, then sofas, beds, and even smartphones themselves become devices that ruin people, and almost all comfortable tools would be guilty. Singling out the kotatsu is arbitrary. Also, because a kotatsu has a tabletop, it can serve as a place to work with a laptop or to read books. In other words, it can become a lazing space, but it can also function as a focused workspace. That versatility is its real feature. Whether a kotatsu encourages laziness ultimately depends on how the user chooses to use it.
Even so, the health drawbacks unique to kotatsu use cannot be ignored. Keeping your legs stuck inside in the same posture for long periods tends to cause poor circulation, back pain, and stiff joints. Furthermore, the combination of warmth and drowsiness increases dozing off, which easily disrupts sleep patterns. When short-term comfort becomes routine at the cost of decreased physical activity and higher health risks, I think it is appropriate to say that, in the long run, the kotatsu ruins people.
I understand the health concerns, but they apply to any situation where someone remains in the same posture for a long time, not just to kotatsu use. Desk work, gaming, and watching movies all share the same risk. It is unbalanced to treat only the kotatsu as dangerous. On the contrary, warming up in a kotatsu can relax muscles and alleviate problems like cold extremities. If you combine it with habits such as standing up for stretches or setting a timer to change posture, you can enjoy the benefits while keeping health risks under control.
Then let us look at the issue in terms of the quality of behavior and time. For many people, time spent in a kotatsu tends to become low-density time, vaguely watching TV or scrolling through social media without purpose. For students preparing for exams and for remote workers, having the time that should be used for focused desk work swallowed by the kotatsu is fatal. Given that people naturally drift in the weaker direction, the kotatsu in practice works as a trap that converts discretionary time into low-quality entertainment. In that sense, it is indeed ruining people.
On the other hand, that so-called low-density time can help psychological recovery, which we cannot disregard. From the perspective of mental health, deliberate downtime and doing nothing can reduce stress. The kotatsu functions as a device that reduces the load from cold and creates a relaxed state. Moreover, family and friends gathering around the kotatsu for conversation generates face-to-face communication, which is a social benefit. To sweep all of this together and call it ruining people is excessive.
I do not deny the importance of rest. The problem with the kotatsu is that rest and escape become hard to distinguish. Many people have experienced getting in to rest just a bit, only to lose several hours. Napping in a kotatsu tends to result in shallow sleep, and the fatigue when waking up is strong. As a result, both work and rest become half-baked, and the rhythm of daily life collapses. This tendency to induce breakdown in time management is precisely why the kotatsu is said to ruin people.
Blaming the kotatsu for failures in time management is still shifting responsibility. Even without a kotatsu, people can easily waste hours on mobile games or video sites. The real issues are self-management skills and personal rules. The kotatsu is just one stage where these play out. In fact, because the kotatsu is a clearly defined space, you can set behavioral rules such as only 1 hour a day here or this is only for relaxing and use it as an anchor to switch between on and off. The design of how you use the tool is more essential than the tool itself.
However, it is unrealistic to hold this debate on the assumption that most people possess strong self-management skills. As behavioral economics shows, humans are vulnerable to immediate pleasure and readily sacrifice long-term benefits. Given that weakness, the choice, do not get in the kotatsu in the first place, becomes the simplest and most reliable self-defense. Deliberately installing in your home an environment with a high risk of harm is like choosing to live in a disaster-prone location. From that perspective, the kotatsu should be positioned as a risk factor that ruins people and avoided.
A mindset of eliminating all risk factors will strip a great deal of fun and comfort from the world. Never keeping sweets at home, getting rid of game consoles and books, such extreme self-control might work for a few, but is not sustainable for most. The same goes for the kotatsu. It can be seen as a testing ground for learning how to negotiate with tempting environments. By setting certain rules, sometimes failing, and gradually finding your own appropriate distance from it, people can actually grow. I believe the kotatsu can support that process.
That idealized opportunity for growth is understandable, but in reality, we see plenty of concrete negative cases. After buying a kotatsu, my study time plummeted. Or, once I started working from the kotatsu, my posture and concentration worsened. For those living in studio apartments, where the boundary between living and working spaces is vague, the kotatsu can dangerously lock their entire lifestyle into a relaxed mode. Considering such structural environmental effects, the kotatsu, for many people, except a self-disciplined minority, inevitably functions as a device that leads to performance decline.
If you pick only anecdotal evidence, you can frame any tool as the culprit that ruins someone's life. That is weak as an argument. In the opposite direction, we also have testimonies like, I started reading more in the kotatsu, or, thanks to not suffering from the cold, I can finally concentrate on tasks in winter. In environments where cold makes it hard to move fingers properly, productive activities are difficult to begin with. For such people, the kotatsu may provide the first environment where they can actually focus. It is inappropriate to treat it as purely harmful.
Then let us assume a world where remote work and studying at home have become the norm. Spending time from daytime to late at night in a kotatsu that constantly warms your feet and encourages poor posture will erode both concentration and self-image. It violates the basic principle of switching between work mode and rest mode by using different spaces, and leads to behavior patterns becoming overly casual, for instance, attending meetings in a slouched posture. Including such long-term erosion of professional attitude, I am concerned that the kotatsu gradually ruins people.
Conversely, with rising energy prices, warming an entire home is costly, whereas using a kotatsu to heat only a small area is economical and helps stabilize daily life. Reduced financial stress can actually make it easier to focus on work and study. Furthermore, more people are customizing work kotatsu setups by adjusting height and seating to improve posture. To claim that a kotatsu automatically erodes professional attitude underestimates people's ability to adapt and their creativity in arranging their living environments.
Even if we accept its cost advantages, the fact remains that as a cheap device for strong comfort, the kotatsu spreads its problems widely. Students and young people living alone can easily acquire one and place it in the center of their small room, after which all movement in daily life passes through the kotatsu. When eating, working, relaxing, and even sleeping are all done at the kotatsu, the distinction between different activities disappears completely, and the sense of self-discipline dulls. This everything centered on the kotatsu lifestyle is itself a lifestyle that ruins people.
The everything centered on the kotatsu lifestyle is an extreme case, and building an argument on that premise is unfair. In reality, many people use the kotatsu alongside beds and desks with clear role separation. In homes with harsh cold, without a kotatsu, activity levels may drop, and some people might barely leave their futons. In that sense, the kotatsu can be interpreted as a device that pulls such people out of bed and increases their waking time. The same phenomenon can be evaluated very differently depending on the angle from which we view it.
In the end, I think that the combination of the kotatsu's powerful comfort and human weakness of will, in many cases, leads to decreased activity and breakdown of time management. Of course, there are a few rational users who can harness its benefits, but if we design society around the average human's fragility, I see the kotatsu as a device with an excessively high potential to ruin people, one from which we should keep our distance. On that evaluation, I will not back down.
I, on the other hand, feel that treating the kotatsu as the villain that ruins people underestimates human agency. The kotatsu is part of Japanese living culture. It provides comfort in cold seasons with limited energy and supports family bonding and individual relaxation. Any laziness or wasted time occurring there is a matter of users' choices and skills, and blaming the tool does not address the root. Therefore, I firmly reject the label "the kotatsu ruins people" and instead defend it as a tool that tests people and sometimes supports them.
This concludes our 10-round debate on whether the kotatsu really ruins people. Do you see the kotatsu as a dangerous, lazy trap, a helpful cultural comfort, or something in between? Share your own stories and opinions about life with a kotatsu in the comments.